you know, what was it, about a month ago? We got the first picture of Linda Cardellini looking like she was having a rough time. You know, must have been an acting moment or something like that. She had her best Pamela Voorhees face on. And here we go. She's in a very similar outfit. Looks like pretty much the same outfit, just no apron on this time. It looks like a very, you know, period accurate 70s kind of like work dress. I'm not gonna lie, she looks really good in this for how plain it is and everything. I love it. It looks like she's wearing some glasses too. As far as I can tell, it looks like she's kind of got the grandma glasses on, and she looks so happy waving to the paparazzi or whoever this is. The random horror fan forever on Twitter is where I found the picture. I don't know if this is the person that captured the picture, but when I looked up this latest picture, this was the only source that I found that was sharing this one for the very first time. So yeah, it's exciting stuff to see this. Anytime we see a picture of Pamela, I'm gonna be pumped. So I'm getting excited for the TV show. I really hope they just nail it with the story. I am more excited about the TV show than I am about the Jason universe, just because the Jason universe seems to be about so much more than just sweet revenge and movies and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, lovely shot there of Linda Cardellini as Pamela Voorhees. Thank you to the random horror fan forever for providing this picture on Twitter. It's always great to see that kind of stuff. Hopefully, I don't know, let me know in the chat, guys, what you think of these pictures. If you're watching after the fact, let me know what you think. Let's go ahead and take a look at a few of these from the Blairstown Facebook page as well. So here we go. We've got a Crystal Lake Town Hall being set up. Very similar. The way that this sign looks is, you know, I know it's like kind of squared off on the bottom, but it's got those little curls up in the middle at the top that kind of have that look of the actual Camp Crystal Lake sign as well. So, you know, just one little example here of them sort of giving the town a facelift and making it look 70s new, which is pretty cool. And we've got, let's see here, we've got another shot, Matt's Photo and Camera, which is a portrait studio. So another little dressed up spot here. And yeah, guys, if you go to Facebook and you look up Blairstown, there's a couple other pictures. I didn't share every single one. StreamYard limits how many I can share. So I picked the ones that were just more like most interesting to me. So here we go. What else do we got? We've got the Hardung's little convenience store. So it's got a fountain drink, a Coca-Cola fountain. So you can go visit the Soda Jerk here. Another old school kind of 70s thing. Nice little general store. I don't know if you guys live near like a small coastal town or, you know, the town I grew up in, because it's a tourist town. Like there's a downtown area that looks so much like this, just like all kind of old timey shops. There's like the Ben Franklin shop, which is just like your, you know, general store, all that kind of fun stuff. So I don't know, maybe I'd be curious to know if the folks that live in Blairstown, like, are they pumped that these things are getting dressed up a little bit? That's what I'd be curious to know about. Here we go. We have a nice like iron or like bronze town of Crystal Lake sign, established 1783. Nice and worn to make it look authentic and old. I thought that was pretty cool as well. We had Matt's portrait studio. Now we have Mike's TV and radio repair. I love the bit on the window here that's like color and black and white TV. Like that's how you can tell that this isn't a shop like a nowadays kind of shop. And then home and car on the radio repair. Yeah, radio repair and TV. So yeah, another little fun, cute little shop there in Blairstown. I think that's all I've got from the Blairstown Facebook. And then there was a gentleman by the name of Joe Quintanilla. There we go. He's got a few shots here. We got the Blairstown diner there. In the wider shot, you can see like a little bus set up to the side. So I'm guessing that they have kind of fixed this one up and dressed this one up to, you know, look relatively new. I would imagine within the scope of the TV show. What if it's the 70s? I'm guessing this diner's been there since the 50s or 60s. So it's looking pretty damn good there. Then we got a shot here of the police car in front of the general store that we saw just a few moments ago. And let's see here. Another shot of the police car, but we've also got that old school truck and what could be the Christie's Jeep, or could be Pamela's Jeep. I don't know if they've both had Jeeps for this long. I can't tell if the Jeeps, aren't they blue in the movie, but here the light is shining right on it, so it's really tough to tell what color it is. I don't expect that they really necessarily need to match the color or anything like that, but it definitely looks like the same kind of Jeep, same era, with the soft top, not a hard top on the back there. But yeah, those are some shots of from Blairstown, New Jersey. And then of course, I'll just throw that one back on there of Linda Cardellini as Pamela Voorhees. Really, really cool to see. Let me know what you guys think in the chat, and let me know what you think if you're watching after the fact in the comments down below. How pumped are you about the Crystal Lake TV show? Let me know. Scale of 1 to 10. All right. And let me know about the Jason universe, because we're going to talk about that as well. In fact, we are going to talk about that right meows. Okay, guys, so Greg Nicotero finally speaks and comments on the Jason universe mask design, quote, somewhere between part 2 and part 3, which is curious to say, right? Has Greg Nicotero seen Friday the 13th part 2? Do you guys think that he's seen Friday the 13th part 2 based on the quote that's in the headline? I don't know. He might not have ever seen part 2 and part 3, but let's go ahead and read this article brought to us by way of John Squires from Bloody Disgusting. There's that shot. Oh man, those eye holes are driving me crazy. Okay, so the article says we are just days away from the August 13th online and in-person premiere of Sweet Revenge, a short-form vignette from the Jason universe that will officially bring Jason Voorhees back to the screen for the first time since 2009. It will also serve to introduce the brand new Jason Voorhees character design, which was unveiled with concept artwork earlier this year. Makeup effects master Greg Nicotero helped the Jason Universe team redesign Jason Voorhees for upcoming merch and marketing activations like Sweet Revenge, with the goal to, quote, maintain Jason's original essence, unquote. Horror Inc.'s Rob Barsamian promised in a statement back in May that we'd be getting, quote, a defined look and feel that takes Jason into his next chapter, unquote. Speaking with comicbook.com, Greg Nicotero himself offered up some thoughts on the fresh new design at San Diego Comic-Con late last month. Nicotero explains, quote, they said, we want to reimagine him. And so we did this new mask, then we did a new Jason. They're like, he's not a zombie, so he's not going to be rotted. We landed somewhere between part 2 and part 3, Nicotero adds. Quote, it was a lot of fun. It's fun for me to revisit those, unquote. The article finishes up by saying it's interesting to note that Greg Nicotero has a history with the Friday the 13th franchise, with his K&B EFX team working on Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday, back in the 1990s. The new Jason Voorhees mask features 13 holes in reference to Jason's favorite day, and it's also expected to be featured in upcoming TV series Crystal Lake from A24 and Peacock. So guys, I'm just reading the full article for the first time with you guys. You know, I brought it up here and I read a couple snippets from the quotes, but that's interesting to me because as far as I know, this is the first time that this has been confirmed that the Jason universe will allow the A24 and Peacock people to use this design. I know some of you guys have asked that question in the chats and in the comments as to how much is going to be shared here between the two different groups of rights owners. And I guess this confirms that at some point we are going to get a look like this in the Crystal Lake TV show. Somewhere between part 2 and part 3. Well, in part 2, he's got the sack head. I doubt we're going to see the sack head in Sweet Revenge because it's only 13 minutes long. So maybe they just mean the overall like look of Jason with like the scraggly hair. I don't know if we're going to see him unmasked in Sweet Revenge. I kind of doubt that. They might just be saving that for the Crystal Lake people. Let them show Jason unmasked, and then we're only going to get the masked version from the Jason universe people. But yeah, it's odd to say a look between part 2 and part 3. What makes more sense to me, this is just looking at this and trying to not think about Ghost Jason, because this look reminds me a lot of Never Hike Alone's Ghost Jason look. To me, it's more of like part 3 and the final chapter, right? Not so much part 2. I'm not really picking up the part 2 vibes here. But guys, let me know in the chat if you're watching live, if you're watching after the fact. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think of the photos from Blairstown, the shot of Linda Cardellini as Pamela Voorhees, and what do you think of what Greg Nicotero has to say about this look, this Jason universe look? So let me know, and make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the channel with someone who you think would dig this kind of content, because we're going to keep on covering this horror news on the channel. And when anything new drops for Friday the 13th, any of the big, you know, the big 3, or just anything that honestly I'm interested in, we're going to cover here, and you don't want to miss any bit of it.